Greetings and blessings. For the past 3 years, I put love, blood, sweat, and tears into this garden here. And it's pretty much wrapped up. I took down the fence, and the second that I took down the deer fence, well, deer started coming in the garden and eating whatever greens were left. Here's some prize choy, pak choy, eaten, and there's some daikons eaten. But not only did it help prove that the deer fence works, but it also helped show me what deer like and don't like to eat, and they pretty much like everything but kale. This was that late September seeding, and I guess if you think about it, if we don't get any too harsh of weather, all these lettuce and tatsoi will be ready in like January. But I made some nice harvests of arugula out of this row, some last of the peppers. It's October 28th. I got 3 pounds of kale out of this tunnel, and good amount of mustard greens out of this tunnel. And there's the deer don't like arugula, because I have 3 arugula patches. That were sown in the beginning of July. I'm saying this was sown on July 9th. It's October 28th, and I've gotten like 5 cuts off of this uber arugula. And that's 1 patch, 2 patches, and there's a 3rd patch right over here. So I just hit those up for a nice little harvest. And there's a nice row of arugula right in here, and we haven't been too cold, but it's supposed to get cold and drop down in the next, it's been 70s this whole last week of October, and this has pretty much been the nicest it's been all summer, the summer of non-stop rain. So I have 1 more big harvest coming up out of this tunnel. Maybe you can see them from here, but all of the mustard greens. I'll link to a video from last year from when I did this, and so you can see what it looks like in that tunnel. I'm not going to open them up. But so a whole bunch of mustard greens, purple and green, from here to here, and from here to here is red Russian kale and Lola Rosa head lettuce. These were sown on August 19th, transplanted on September 17th, and we'll be harvesting on November 1st. So with that being said, I'm thinking about if I can push that date back, like basically starting it on early July, like this, around the same time that I sowed that cut and come again arugula patches that I've gotten 5 to 6 cuts off of by now here in November. That will give me more of a staggered harvest, so I'm tuning in. This year I really figured out how to get my seedling game on point, and next year we'll really be figuring out how to keep the continuous successions going. Usually what would happen here is that I would do a weekly succession, and then my 40-foot by 40-foot plot would be filled, and I'd have to wait for something to harvest in order to plant again, and then that's where it created gaps. But I've got a nice rotation succession I harvested out of this tunnel, and then I harvested out of these 2 tunnels, and now I'm going to be harvesting out of this back tunnel again. So, and then in like another 2 weeks, if it doesn't get too cold and we don't get too much snow, that'll lead these 2 tunnels to have regrown, and I'll harvest from these again, and then that would leave it for around like Thanksgiving, right around the beginning of December, for another cut of kale and mustard greens out of that back row. So next year I'm really excited to be able to implement this with 80-foot rows, giving an extreme amount of late season produce all the way up to December, and ideally we want to keep it going through the year round. But also another thing is that, like, if you keep your peppers and your eggplants covered, which I'm going to do a pepper and eggplant greenhouse, I mean, I'd be led to suspect that you can have peppers and eggplant definitely into December in an unheated greenhouse in about zone 5A, southern Vermont. These were direct sown tatsoi and lettuce in the 3rd week of September. So if you got a hoop over these, and or if it doesn't get too cold, these would be pretty much ready by January, and then which you could save cold hardy seed off of. The rest of the watermelon radishes got eaten by deer, didn't do too well. We got some turnip greens, another row of turnip greens. I guess deers don't like turnip greens either. And these peppers have survived the few frosts we've gotten. It's supposed to get down to 40 tomorrow after we just had this 72 to 75 degree week. Then by November, like Halloween, it's going to dip down to 28, and then I saw November 1st 26. So these greens will be fine with that freeze. I'm thinking, should I get in here and harvest all the kale and mustard greens and lettuce before the night of the first freeze, or let them get hit by that first freeze so they can sweeten up? Let me know in the comments below. Oh, and this actually something cool. This row right here was Caribe cilantro that I let go to seed. So now under the lettuce and the kale is actually an understory of cilantro that's resprouting from the seed that I let go to seed in the bed. So that actually might let up for some cilantro into December, which would allow for some nice cold hardy green pestos: arugula, mustard green, cilantro, garlic, and tatsoi, walnuts, olive oil. I already did it. It tastes really good. And there's Swiss chard in there as well. So yeah, One Love Wholeness. This is closing up shop at the JsGrassFedGarden. I've you know, maintained the relationship with the human being who allows me to grow food, who allowed me to grow food here. So I'm still able to come and harvest from these cold hardy crops. And then next season, it'll be bittersweet, but there won't be too much coming up here. I'd like to come up here and observe, because I've let so much stuff go to seed in this garden, so I'd like to see what just regrows on its own. And that's kind of the whole permaculture model, is, you know, by letting stuff go to seed and saving seed, making our systems not reliant upon us, so that there would always be food. Possibly would want to save seed off of any kale that overwinters as well. But besides that, won't be coming up here too much. Be coming up here every other week until like the end of December to get the much out of these cold hardy greens as possible. Maybe I'll take the asparagus with me, maybe I'll leave it. And there's also a whole row of elderberry cuttings. Some of them rooted, some of them didn't, but I'd be interested to see what happens with those. Beautiful oaks, maple. It's fall time, golden hour. One love, wholeness. Blessings. Thank you to all for your support. And like I said, the most important thing, one of the most important things, is I cannot wait to get my successions better and steadily, so that way there's no gap in between harvests. Implementing this on 80-foot rows to giving a larger quantity without sacrificing the quality of the produce. And let's end it on these pinwheel marigolds. Direct sown on April 6th, and they don't come in to their peak until late October, November. Look at how many other flowers are on here if we weren't about to get that freeze. They'll probably survive that freeze too. All these little buds. And then the calendula underneath, Pacific Beauty calendula. Those are the two flowers I'm going to be working with next year mainly, and the amaranth. Alright. We'll see you at the new farm. One love and wholeness. Thank you for your support. And stay tuned as the months go on and I learn to grow food year-round.